All right, children, settle down, settle down, children, settle down, people. Thank you. Okay, everybody, welcome. Welcome to the next episode, next class of night school horror. Here we are. I am your professor. Don't mind me. Today I had a very busy day. I was out in Orlando, Florida, at the Spooky Empire. Spooky Empire is a horror convention. It's a very good horror convention. One of my personal favorites. Of course, a convention in general of mine. For those listening, my name is Tommy James, a.k.a. Mr. Oh So Smooth, a.k.a. the smooth effect himself. It hurts to say that, so I have to talk like this for the time being. But I wasn't there alone. Actually, one of my students of our classroom today at Night School Horror was there also with me. Of course, none other than Sabrina Ace, the ace in the hole. Sabrina, hello.
Hello. Thanks, Professor. It was a really fun field trip. I can't wait for next year's field trip. I learned a lot, and I am so happy to depart my knowledge onto you guys.
Okay, so I'm going to take away that because I didn't even think about that. That was a really good hit right there. We're calling it a field trip. So that was great. That was awesome. And yes, indeed, it was a field trip. Well, for all of us, more of a trip for me in a sense, since I'm in Tampa. But we had a fantastic time yesterday. You know, we were doing the Who You Got Challenge. You know, your first ever Who You Got Challenge. It was Best Horror Sequel. We had The Conjuring 2 going against Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. We had a panel last night, and I thought it was very successful.
It was really cool. I enjoyed that panel a lot. It had so many different perspectives, and everyone that chimed in to give us their input. I was blown away by some of the convincing arguments. Mm-hmm. It was insane.
Yes, I have to agree. We talked a little paranormal activity. We had a couple of gentlemen from the Shiver, a horror podcast, a horror movie podcast, excuse me, and they were actually telling us how they felt about paranormal activity that made you want to kind of go back and watch it. I still hate the movie. I don't give two shits. I'm not a big fan of it, but we may be able to get these gentlemen on with us so we could talk a little bit more when it comes to paranormal activity. And Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. You're watching Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I don't give a shit.
I don't think I am, but they may convince me for Paranormal Activity again. Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
I think we will see about that. But, to bring back to the challenge and whatnot, because there's a little more we want to talk about spooky, but to bring back to the challenge, you ended up, unfortunately, taking an L on this one, but it was close. It was 14-13 votes.
I was very surprised by that, but you know what? I'll take it. For a close loss, that's still a win in my book. I may not win the challenge, but I won the glory of just participating and having a great time with it.
That's very true. That's very true. And I've been on a losing streak for a while, so it's nice to get a win here and there. I was in a slump. Sometimes you got to find your way out of that slump. But there's going to be more challenges as time goes on. So, of course, this is not just your one and only challenge. You get an opportunity to do it again. And also, one thing we have to mention this, because your mom was there as well. You had your mother with you. She was chilling with us, hanging with us, having a great time. That was her first convention.
It was her first convention, and she said how much of a great time she had. She enjoyed being around everybody and meeting everybody. And of course, we definitely enjoyed meeting Mr. Robert Englund himself.
You did.
At the photo op. It was fantastic. He's so cool.
You met Frederick Krueger, and Christian got lucky. He got to go with you. It turned out you could bring at least, up to 3 children under 15.
2 adults and 3 children up to 15 or under.
15 or under.
That was cool.
So Christian got
one
to
ticket.
meet Robert. Christian got to meet Robert Englund. And when we talk about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, when we talk about the Who You Got Challenge, it's not fair to not mention the champ himself. Because as we know, in this classroom, there's one man. He's sitting right there. I see him right there in the back. Of course, he never comes to the front, He has to sit all the way in the fucking back with his belt. He's over there with his belt. But here's
Only
the thing.
Cool kids sit in the back.
Yeah, that's what he says. He thinks he's the cool kid. He thinks he's the cool kid, but he's not the cool kid. Because Mr. Malave, the music man, is here, and I'm coming for you.
Oh yes, baby. Yes. You know what? You know what? It sounded like a great con. It sounded like, and it looked like a fantastic panel. And I was ashamed that I missed it. And I heard it was narrow margins as well too. It was like decided on one vote. Leave it up to you two to get it that close. An instant classic, I might add. But I gotta be honest with you guys. The fact that it's that close, that just means that it's just gonna be so much worse for you, Tommy, when you face me at a WinterCon, because I don't make things close. I blow shit out of the water because you don't become the longest reigning who you got champion without dominating. And I've been dominating for about a year and 8 months now. And it's just been so beautiful. And the world's just a better place when your boy, Mr. Malave, aka Matthew Malave, the longing, reigning, defending who you got champion is here. And I'm pretty sure Spooky Empire would have been so much better with your boy there rocking the title. People are going to be like, ooh, can I take a picture with the champ? Ooh, can I take a picture with the belt? Ooh, can I take a picture with you, Robert England? No, you cannot. You cannot take a picture with the champ because you have to pay for that. Even you, Robert England.
Matt, can I just say,
yes.
I think you need to get your permission slip signed for next year, like tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't need.
So.
You know what's great about being the champ? I don't need permission. All right, I go where I want, when I want, if I don't have to go grocery shopping. But other than that,
Mr. Malave, I just want to let you know, and I'm going to throw that out there because you are so cocky right now, sir. I get it. You are the longest reigning champ. It makes sense to be the cocky of the cockiness. But here's the thing: I am undefeated at WinterCon.
Okay.
Remember that?
So what? You went through 3 stages of winter.
I did.
And you've passed. But you know what? You never faced me one-on-one at WinterCon. And you know it's a vibe there. And you know they bring it.
They do.
Whew, I cannot wait. Stipulation to come because I have my wheels turning and I got myself a doozy. I think I'm on it, but I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to let you guys sweat it out. But best of luck, Smooth Effect.
Thanks.
I plan on handing you another L like you always like to take, because this one is just a blimp in the radar, baby. A blimp in the radar. And can I be honest with you? That opening was kind of rough, man. It sounded like a constipated, drunk Englishman. It was weird.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
I wasn't going to ask about it.
I was
just going to let it happen.
I was going for it because, it was like a crazy night. Okay. It was a crazy day and a crazy night. So this is how you wake up. It's early in the morning. And this is what I felt. But I thought
you were going to like lean into the Monster Mash voice.
No, I didn't.
I mean, tis the season.
We're close. Yes, it is indeed the season. Halloween is on Tuesday, so hope everybody's ready with their costumes to get their candy and everything. So I know I'm going to be tricked.
I'm going as the champ, and there's no costume, just me.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck you for that. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what comes next because obviously that will be a second rounds who you got challenge. Okay, we'll also make sure we have it on for Night School Horror, so everybody that's following Night School Horror can listen as well. Oh, but they definitely have to go and follow second rounds in general. You get to hear all the other shows and the other classrooms that we have going on. And definitely for all of the listeners out there, we want you to enroll now, okay? By enrolling, you got to follow, you got to like, you got to subscribe. Because class is always in session. So be prepared. We have our door wide open. If you want to come and sign up and enroll with Night School Horror, just let us know. You can come on, you can talk, you can do all the crazy shit with us because it's going to get insane. So please,
just make sure you fill out your Delaney cards.
Yes, fill out your Delaney cards.
That's what it was called. I couldn't remember it yesterday.
We were talking about it last night. We were talking about it last night again. And she's like, yeah, you guys make me feel old sometimes. I didn't have a Delaney card. Like, oh. Well, too fucking bad. So, yes, for all the listeners out there, please like, subscribe, rate us too. It helps us. We want to make sure you guys know what we're doing is working. So, the best to that. So, we were talking about great things, okay? We had a great time yesterday. Me and Sabrina had a fantastic time at Spooky Empire. Mr. Belave, we plan to bring you next year. We hope you show up. I think maybe we'll get a table. Maybe we'll look into that if we want, so we can kind of have a show thing going on. We'll see how that works. But now it's time to get a little bit worse. We're gonna take a little punch to the gut right now, because today in this class we're going to be talking about the Exorcist Believer.
Yay!
I figured we should discuss this film. So, of course, right off the bat, because all students here, who saw Exorcist Believer?
Me.
That's one.
Regretfully.
Yay. 2 students seen The Exorcist Believer. Of course, me as well. So, all right, let's start right off the bat. Let's do some takes. Before the movie came out, when you saw the trailer, how were you feeling off the bat? Let's hear from Ace.
So the trailer caught my eye. I was pretty on the fence about being excited about it. So I was like, all these new movies coming out. I don't know whether I should be excited or if I should be hesitant towards it, but I was at least on the fence. I wasn't leaning one way or another. But I did have the privilege to go through the Exorcist Believer haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights. And that completely changed my opinion. That house was so fantastic that I was like, ooh, I love it. I'm excited to see this movie. The house was great. I'm really wanting to see this movie. I really wanted to go see it in theaters. And oh, Jesus.
Mr. Belave, how'd you feel about that trailer?
Similar to Ace, right? When I saw the trailer and I got super excited. The makeup looked phenomenal. I am a huge fan of Exorcist. The original, not so much the sequels. I felt like they kind of fell flat, but I love Exorcist movies, like exorcism movies, basically. So when I saw the trailer, much like Ace, I wanted to go see the movies. I was even telling Itzy, I'm like, yo, let's go. We have to go get the popcorn and we have to go do this shit, right? Because it's spooky season, it's Halloween season, and it's nothing like a nice Exorcist movie that brings its lore. And Blumhouse has it now. They did okay with the Halloween franchise. Let's fucking dive deep into this shit. Didn't get a chance to go to the movies, but my sources grabbed a good copy. And I saw it, and boy, oh boy. I was just a little bit let down. And then a lot of bit let down. Let's just be honest with you. It was an experience, to say the least. And I'm trying to be a little cordial here, because there are the hot takes right now, the first initial takes. So I'm not going to dive deep into all the fuckery that I seen. But yeah, it was a no for me, dog. Just to quote somebody, it was just a no for me. Honestly, I was very disappointed. Just to be honest, that's where I'll leave it. I'll leave it right now until we dive in.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that, because I know when I seen the trailer, I wasn't too pumped at first, because it scares me. Not scares me as in, oh my God, I can't sleep tonight. No, it scares me in the fact that I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. Like, I don't know if this was the right route to take. Who the fuck was asking for another Exorcist movie? Okay, number 1, classic.
Nobody.
Great movie. Number 2, probably one of the worst movies ever made. And number 3, hidden gem. I actually consider number 3 as a hidden gem. I love the whole true crime side to it. Plus, it wasn't supposed to be an Exorcist movie. It was actually Legion. And they were like, yeah, but Will and Bladder, we got to slap an Exorcist name on it. And if you haven't seen that movie in a long time, Mr. Bladder, I don't remember the last time, you've seen The Exorcist 3. Maybe give it another rewatch, because I rewatched it not too long ago. And Brad Dourif is a fucking G in that movie. So good. So good. And I am a huge fan of George C. Scott. I think he was one of the best Scrooges, because he was in he played Scrooge in the Christmas Carol. But I would say that is it's a hidden gem. And it has one of the best jump scares ever in horror. If you haven't seen it in a while, like I said, maybe give it a rewatch. Might be able to change your mind in that sense. And maybe we'll do an episode on it, so you don't have a choice. You'll have to rewatch it. But with this one...
Yeah, it's been a while. I feel like I haven't seen those sequels since I was younger, when I first got introduced to The Exorcist. And then I saw like a whole like I went on a whole marathon and I seen them all 3, so maybe I was exhausted and I was still on the lore of the first one that I was just like, not so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't mind rewatching it for sure.
I think that'd be fun.
I don't remember the third one too much, so I definitely feel like I need to rewatch it anyway.
Then we should definitely do The Exorcist 3, because I didn't like it when I was younger, but as you get older, your views of movies could change based on how you're watching it. And that movie, if you understand what you're getting into, you could truly, really understand it's a very, very good movie. Except the one we're talking about right now, because this one's pretty rough. I think also in the trailer when they showed that Chris McNeil is back, I was like, I don't remember anybody asking for this. Legacy characters are like the new thing now. We need to bring legacy characters back. But the thing is Ellen Burstyn. No, you don't, because Ellen Burstyn is 90 fucking years old. She's good. Man. She's at home in her fucking pool. She's just chilling with her grandkids. She probably got 12 of them. And now they're just like, hey, I'm David Gordon Green, and I would like to give you a chance to be in my new Exorcist believer. To which, by the way, she said no. She did not have any faith behind that script, thought it was fucking garbage, and even said there's no reason to make another one. It took how much, Miss Malabi?
She was
$30 million.
$30 million.
She was correct in her thinking, though.
She was 1,000% correct. She got, as Mr. Malabi mentioned, $30 million, and it went towards a charity of her personal charity of, I believe it's an acting school. So she's not even keeping the money. She doesn't need the money.
Hey, if they wanted her that bad, she was probably like, oh, well, if you really want me that bad, I guess I can go and give the money away. Like,
I bet you it was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. This is the 4th time you called me. Like, no, I don't want to be in this movie anymore. Well, what can we do, Ellen? What can we do to make this happen? Because we really want you. If you give me $30 million for this school charity that I'm in, why not? All right, done. Oh, shit.
Basically fund the school for like a year or two.
Okay.
Like,
pretty much.
Yeah.
That's
pretty sure that's how that conversation happened. She was like, I didn't think they were actually going to do it, but here I am on set.
Well, I think the other issue, and I think she made it clear, because when she was talking about how long it took for her to be convinced, he made it clear too, I think in an interview where he was like, oh yeah, no, she declined immediately.
Yeah.
She had no interest.
She should.
She was like, nope, not doing it, not interested. And like, he's just like, what he did is he took the friendship route. He fucking tricked her. That's what he did. He started with like, all right, fine, you don't have to do it. But, hey, like, I would love to know, like, how it was on the first movie, like, on the set. And then, you become more friendly with the person till you're like, hey, so kind of wrote you a part, Danny wrote you a part. Danny McBride's over here. He's a big fan of you. And it's small. It's only like 10, 15 minutes, and then we're just going to gouge your eyes out because,
and then a couple shots of you laying in a bed.
Which we'll get into. We're going to get into more of the details. We're going to get more. Yeah, fuck that shit. We're going to get more into a little bit more detail with that. But before we get into that, again, this movie is directed by David Gordon Green. He did do the updated Halloween franchise. He's done a lot of comedies. Pineapple Express. Mm-hmm. I like that one. I thought that was a very funny movie as well. Your Highness, which was meh. I wasn't the biggest fan of that one. But David Gordon Green has a pretty decent background. Now, his horror background usually starts off strong and then ends really shit. But again, I will say Halloween Ends, if you remove Michael Myers and Laurie, it's actually not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie.
I feel like he's really good about making movies that have too much, that make it not a movie anymore.
Right. That's actually a good take. A little good take on that one. What are you guys' feelings on Leslie Odom Jr.? We'll start Ace. Ace, what do you think of Leslie Odom Jr.?
He's the one that played
he's
Victor,
the father.
Right?
Yeah, he's the father.
Yeah. I didn't mind his acting. He's a fine actor. My big problem was the writing for his character. Mm-hmm. So you have this character that's supposed to be expressing grief and loss, but it doesn't allude to any of that until the end of the fucking movie. Mm-hmm. When decisions had to be made. Like, it doesn't make sense to have someone who's not a believer, and then towards the very end, you're like, oh, well, he grew up with a certain type of religion and upbringing, but there's this new one introduced to him, and then he just goes right back to where he is, and I guess he's supposed to be a believer, but again, it flip-flops so much that the way they wrote his character, it's not believable to me that is how a normal person reacts.
Yeah, I actually agree with that one too. Because honestly, listen, I like Leslie Odom Jr. He was in Hamilton, and that's what actually pushed him up, because people were like, whoa, this guy is amazing. Yes, he's a great singer, and he's actually a great actor too, because he also did Glass Onion. He was very good in Glass Onion as well. This one to me, and I will say, I have to agree, it's like the emotions side of things. He's not a believer. That they made it clear. It's like an atheist or some shit. He doesn't believe in any of that shit. And then obviously
they said he believed when he was like with his wife, and then after the tragedy, he just stopped. It's like, believing. Okay, so
all right, but there's still.
You can do that.
But it doesn't make sense, because in the long run, there was life created, so you still would have some sort of belief. Though this one went, yes. This was here. I still have this. So I think for him to sit there and like that one part when she's like, you're not a believer. And you're like, okay, all right, you're looking at your fucking daughter right now. She's all fucked up, talking about God played a trick on you. Like, what do you not believe at this moment? You think you think someone's going to pop up and just be like, fooled ya. Hey, we got
I feel like
him.
There's more to say about that ending part that you're talking about, where she says, you're not a believer and God fooled you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll get into that later, because I feel like I have a lot more to say about that.
We will definitely
keep that in the back of your mind.
We will definitely get there. Mr. Malave, Leslie Odom Jr., how do you feel about him?
All right. Yeah. Like you mentioned it before, right? He was great in Hamilton. I love him as an actor. All right. I feel like I didn't believe him as a non-believer, right? Because he was holding on hope every time, like he was looking for his daughter, right? And then like, even when he brought him to the house, like, and strapped him up and was going to do all this exorcism stuff, like, it's just like, how do you not believe when you're doing all of that? Right. Like, you get me? Like, oh, we're going to do this exorcism, but you don't believe it?
You're faced with the ultimate proof.
And it's just like, wait a minute, dude. Like, you've seen it. And then maybe you at first was just like, nah, this is all hocus pocus bullshit. Right. But then at the end of the day, you're still strapping up the chair, drilling it into the wall, the floor. And you're like, I'm getting all these people of faith, and we're going to fucking do this. And then you're like, then she's still going to be like, you're not a believer. And you're just like, yeah, no, I don't believe you. He believed halfway through. And you know what I mean? I just feel like his character arc wasn't written the right way. Mm-hmm. I feel like if there was some non-believing, I think they should have hinted it with his relationship with his daughter. I think we would have gotten more substance that way. Like when, it's just like, you just got to have a little faith, Dad. And he was just like, yeah, faith, sure. You know what I mean? Like something simple like that, or anything else to make him be like, he's kind of bitter still. You know what I mean? No, They played it out so that way his relationship with his daughter was perfect. And like they both have a tight knit relationship, that they have faith and all this other stuff. And then he's a non-believer. Mm-hmm. Didn't buy it at all. Yeah. And then like, again, towards the end, it kind of just fell flat on his face. Even after that line that she delivered to her father. You know what I mean? I just felt like it was just there because they needed to make the title make sense. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Oh, you're not a believer. And then he's a believer. Oh, Exorcist the believer. Exorcist the believer. Oh, yeah, this is great. You know what I mean? And it's just like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. If anything, you should have made both the parents of the other girl and him really non-believers. Like, hone into that shit. Like, this is not it. This is like some other things. These girls got raped or someone kidnapped them and this and this and this. And they don't believe any of that. And they're just doing trauma to themselves until they believe, and that's when they see maybe one of them motherfuckers get the devil into them or something, or demon into them. You know what I mean? But I just felt like they could have made it a lot better. With him, he's an amazing actor, but he was only given but so much in this role. I believed him as a father, as a caring father that would do anything for his daughter. Yes. Right. So, I mean, he did a good job there. But as far as his non-believer arc, it was just fell flat. And that was, again, something from the writers, not so much him.
Yeah, right. That's a great take.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. That's a great take. He is a very convincing father. He was a good dad from the beginning of the movie to the end. A believer or non-believer is just no.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense. No, it just didn't make sense. Again, you sprinkle a little bit in the beginning of him, like even with him talking to like the teachers or some of the parents, and then like he's just kind of like a little fuckery, like, no, God never did anything good for me. something like that. You know what I mean?
Right, but even saying like God never did anything good, it's still the acknowledgement of the existence that you believe. It's just that you believe and he's bad.
He's bad.
It's not non-believer. It's
right, or maybe just like a loss of faith because of what happened with your wife and everything else like that. But
and that's fine.
A non-believer, no.
I think that's fine because if you go back to the original Exorcist movie, Chris McNeil's character, she also was a non-believer. She didn't have any sort of, touch with faith or whatnot. It's the point, and that's why the original Exorcist is such a phenomenal movie, because she came to the point where she had no choice but to go to fucking priest. She went to the hospital. The fucking doctor was like, have you ever spoken to a priest? Have you ever heard of a thing called an exorcism before? Like, this was told to her. And she's like, why would I want to do that? Well, honestly, ma'am, there's no other alternative. We can't find any issues with her. Shit's fucked up, but we don't know why. So she had to go that route. And that took a while. It's a nice, long process to get there. And then, of course, you have Father Karras, who's already having his issues with faith. So that's what The Exorcist is truly about. So they tried to kind of hone in on that, where they were like, oh yeah, by the way, he's not a believer. But in the mid of the movie, he already goes to Chris McNeil. He's already talking about exorcism. He's already talking about this. They go to which another thing that pisses me off is we get to Father Maddox, okay? And we get from his neighbor, Anne, Anne Dowd is playing Nurse Anne, funny enough. She had she was supposed to be a nun, but, she ended up getting pregnant. She had an abortion, which takes away from that. Which, another thing, it doesn't make any sense. Because if you are going to be a nun, if that is your goal in life, like, I'm going to become a nun, you will not have sex. They know that's the deal.
I mean, she did say that she strayed away from her vows, and that's what ultimately got her not to be a nun.
Yes.
So, I mean...
But if you're going to be a nun, I don't personally know any nuns, but I would assume that that's a goal where it's like, this is where I want to be. So you are huge into faith. So you're not going to get, that's obviously tempt and all that stuff. But the fact is, she got pregnant and then she had an abortion. I just feel that
she was led way into temptation.
Where the fuck are you going? Because, okay, maybe you got pregnant, but why would you go to aborting it if you are so into God and all this shit? So for her, he gives her the Bible, follow it. First off, if anybody shouldn't be doing the exorcism, she shouldn't be doing the exorcism.
I agree with that. I literally had in my notes of
to do
okay,
it.
That's the worst.
You gave her the
exorcist.
book, but you're getting a nun, not nun,
a nun,
do an
not
exorcism.
Nun who sinned very, very hardly. By the way,
yes.
Sinned double time.
You double sinned.
Not only did she get
never double sinned.
Not only did she have premarital sex, then she got pregnant, but then she terminated the baby.
Correct.
Yep.
3 strikes.
Basically, turning against every act of God as a nun.
The demon should have went into her. She's the most impure out of all of them.
The demon does call it out in a sense, but I think it would have been more because she's the one sitting there with the book and she's sitting there doing the whole prayers and whatnot. It's not going to work because you've already fucked up in God's eyes. In the long run, you fucked up. She had to obviously go to confession. That's based on Catholicism, Christianity, you got to go to confession. And once you state your sins, you are then washed away from them. So she had to go through all of this process, but we didn't get to see that. And I think that would have been really interesting to her to go to Father Maddox, who, by the fucking way, is the fucking exorcist. The movie's called The Exorcist. He's the exorcist, and we don't get to see his interaction with the girls, which you should probably want to see that. We get to see him stand there like, oh my God, holy shit, that's scary. No, you're the exorcist. But they decided to bring in 5 different people. Oh, it's going to take all the religions. Mr. Blave, we were talking about this last night. The original Exorcist is based on Christianity and Catholicism. I'm Catholic. I went to fucking religion.
Yep.
They talked about this shit, okay? They talked about demons and Lucifer and heaven and hell and all this stuff. So that's why that movie...
If you do too much, the demons could possess you, all this bullshit.
Yes, and that's what scares you. So when you watch movies like this, you get not maybe scared, but eerie feelings. That's the little point of this. But you can't tell me you're going to just start adding different religions into this because those religions don't believe in those specific demons. Perfect example. We mentioned this, and Sabrina, we were talking about it as well, because you mentioned the movie The Possession.
Right.
Which is based on Judaism. So you're not calling a priest. You're not going to be like, hey, Father Maddox, there's this one specific demon that goes after children and whatnot. He's going to be like, well, I'm not Jewish, so I don't know your God. I don't believe in this. And yeah, you believe in Jesus, but there's different demons. I don't think they believe in Lucifer, if I'm mistaken. I don't want to get into a religion discussion, but from my understanding, I don't believe, they may believe in a sort of evil, but I don't know if it is Lucifer. But guess what?
Call the right damn priest or rabbi.
Like, can we talk about this for a second? Where you see what was her name? Catherine reading the Bible, like as the demon, it's reading the Bible. So it's like, okay, clearly the Bible doesn't work. So like, what they brought out a different book, like what was it, the Roman Rule or something? Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, so you realize that the Bible doesn't work, so that religion is out. Clearly, it doesn't work, and then they continue to speak from the Bible during the exorcism, and I'm like, wait, so she could pick it up and read it and it doesn't fucking matter, but you guys can chant it at her and now it matters.
But the fact that like one of them even was in the church and didn't burn or like anything else, she did go crazy a little bit, but it's almost like, come the fuck on. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't fucking believe you. You know what other movie wants to play upon like all the church and everything else like that? Doesn't even fucking matter. And honestly, we're not going to dive too deep into it, but The Nun 2, she fucking burning priests and she's like, evaporating the holy water. Now she's some devilish shit, right? But not one time did they establish how strong these demons are that possess these girls, because like they didn't really do much either. These girls, they were just like, they're just ripping off their fucking fingernails and like other stuff like that. Like, come on, at least in the first one we got her like playing around with the crucifix and everything. I know she fucking stabbed her in the eyes with a crucifix, but that was it. What about the other
that's
girls?
A stabbing. That's not a thing affecting the girls. So like, it's...
What about projectile vomiting? What about the heads turning around? Like, we didn't get any of that shit, right? But going back to this religion stuff, like, it's just, there's plot holes in there that doesn't make sense, right? You have their pastor that just shows up there. You don't think he's more qualified than the girl who got shunned out of the church to be like, do it? But no, he was scared to do it. Bitch, I don't know what to tell you then. I really don't know what to say. Why are you even here?
Why are you even here?
Why are you even here?
I had a timer on my phone.
We don't need all these people.
What about Mr. Belave, jumping off that, and I want you to continue too, because I see where you're going and I like it. I want to jump with you. What about the fact when they go to the church and they're explaining what's going on, right? Like, there's these girls need an exorcist, they need an exorcism, blah, 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 blah. And the church is going, no, it's too dangerous. It's dangerous for you and it's dangerous for the church. I'm pretty sure that's your fucking job.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to you for, all you have to say is yes, and then he's going by himself. Like, you got me? Like, the fuck,
They have no stakes in it other than they're part of the same church. And if he winds up dying or bad press, then it might fall back on the church. But other than that, it's like that's literally what you guys do.
They're like, they don't want to be liable in case they fucking kill the kids, right? You know how I would have made that scene a lot better? They would have mentioned like the exorcism of Emily, whatever.
Emily Rose,
when she passed away and they had a whole trial. Like,
the whole court
little
cases.
Easter eggs that they could have popped in there and just like, we're not going to do this because since Linda Blair, like, we had this and this happened, right? And now the church is more under the microscope than anything. Boom, we can't have it. I think I'm making the movie a lot better already. Like, you get me? Like, this is just ridiculous, right? And then they just keep saying no. And then the damn fucking father is there and he says, no, I can't do this. I can't be a part of this. But he's just praying in his car the whole entire time. Like,
that irks me. Why are you still there praying in your car if you can't be a part of it?
You could have literally had a better thing for your character if they would have just let him come in after the whole smoke shit happened and just like comes in with the last final thing and then like one of the girls gets saved or some shit. I don't know.
Well, that's actually what happened.
Yet.
That's
what do we actually know about Father Maddox, though?
We don't. That was my problem.
I have no connection with that character whatsoever.
And you should, because he's the exorcist. He's the one.
I should want him to succeed, right?
Just like in the original.
When he shows up, I'm just like, you're still fucked.
The original, the father in the original, they had a whole, like, it was on him. He was the protagonist. Like, not the girls, he was the protagonist.
Father Cross
Correct.
was like, okay, he's not a believer, and you see him coming to be like, oh, I'm in the middle of this exorcism. I believe it now. Like, this is real. Let me do everything I can to save this child. Father Maddox he kind of didn't do shit. He just kind of made it worse for like 2 minutes. I had a timer on my phone to see how long he would last in this exorcism.
Very nice.
And it was a little over 2 minutes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Then he just gets his.
What was the fucking point?
The best part about Father Maddox being in the car was we got Leslie Odom Jr. to come. My favorite line in the movie: "Knock, knock, knock." Fights inside. Like, it's such a fucking like badass line of hey, bitch, hey, get your ass up. And don't mind the way I talk, by the way. I'm not saying anything like to be mean, but I'd say it to him. I'd be like, hey, asshole, get your ass up.
Hey, punk
Fights
bitch.
inside, motherfucker. Fights inside. Fuck you, motherfucking priest. Get your ass up. You got us sitting there. And they made it very clear. You can die from both sides of an exorcism, as seen in the first movie. They both died, both priests, which brings me to one line of the movie that makes me want to pull the non-hair that I have on my head out. And it's with Chris McNeil. And she goes, because Victor asks, were you present during the exorcism? And she said no. And she gave us a reason why. Sabrina, what was that reason?
Say it.
Do it. What was that reason?
I don't remember verbatim.
She's a woman.
Yep.
The patriarchy.
Oh, like they said that
because she's a woman, she was not allowed in the fucking room. Excuse me? Like, couple things. Let's talk about it real quick, guys. Let's talk about this.
I'm trying to bite my tongue.
You're going to speak right now on it too, and it's perfect because you are a woman.
Don't bite your tongue.
You're a woman, so
we have a platform to talk about it, so we're going to talk about it.
And you are a woman, so this is perfect for you to actually how you felt about her saying something like that. And I felt, and this is my opinion, I felt it was just a little too woke for that moment. And the reason that she wasn't involved in the exorcism of her own daughter, number one, they made it clear you could die on both sides of an exorcism. Number two, when your daughter was stabbing herself, shoved your face to that area, and then her head spun and said, do you know what she did? Your cunty daughter, who was the voice of your fucking friend. So she now realizes, oh my God, I know what just fucking happened. You freaked the fuck out. You think you're going to be okay watching her levitate, spitting fucking pea soup out, fucking doing all this weird shit? No, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. It's not the fact that you're a woman. It's to protect you from ever being able to stare at your daughter again. Because let me tell you something right now. If my daughter's head spun around, she didn't know what she did, oh, daughter. She would, I don't care. After the exorcism's over, she's out. She's gone.
It was more of a protection. Stop with the whole women shit. I feel like they were trying to just force a little agenda down our throats with that line. Like, fuck you. All right.
It doesn't make
why?
sense.
Because she's 90 and maybe back
first movie.
Maybe back in the day, the movie rights and shit when they didn't have a lot of women on screen and all this other bullshit. Da 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 da. Fuck you, man. You got paid $30 million for this fucked up movie.
Like, well, whoever wrote that line for her, I would like to have a conversation.
Danny McBride.
I want to have a conversation with Danny McBride as why was that the necessary point that you made? It could have been like exactly as you said, protection against your daughter and being killed on both sides. They don't want to have another casualty. Mm-hmm. It literally could have been anything else.
I feel like it was Danny McBride going, this is what's gonna make her come back, like the woman power shit. Like, yeah, she's gonna be happy
but I don't even see. I would love to ask Ellen Burstyn that question, just to be like, you know what, fuck it. Let me ask you a simple question. Did you like that line? Did that make sense to your character? Because I personally don't think that made sense to your character.
I don't think her being there made sense to her character.
No, it didn't make sense.
It should have been Linda Blair the whole time, but no,
it shouldn't even been Linda Blair. We've moved on. We're past that shit. Like
it shouldn't have been anybody from the old movies.
Exactly. There was no reason for a legacy character, unless one of the priests were still alive.
you said in the beginning, with all these requels, right? They are obsessed with the legendary characters, the legacy characters, right? They feel like the movie is gonna like have that nostalgia just by adding a legacy character. No, it needs to make sense. With Scream, when they have legacy characters, they made sense. And when they kill them off, they make sense. Except you paid her, you played this bitch $30 million, pay Sidney Prescott, please, to get her in the next movie, but I digress. It just makes sense. When you have Jamie Lee Curtis in the Halloween movies, it makes sense, right? This doesn't
especially
make
with
sense.
a title like Halloween Ends, because it has to end with two of them. Like it,
correct.
It had to.
Yeah, exactly.
This didn't
you know what I
need
mean?
any of them. It had no stake in any of it.
And you know what's the stupidest part? You know, it's oh my god. So when they go down the rabbit hole of the mom and they're watching YouTube videos, the funniest part comes in when she's like, I'm an expert in exorcism, but I'm not an exorcist.
So you mean nothing.
Then you're not an expert.
I am an expert in medical science, but I am not a doctor.
Right.
So
let me perform surgery on you.
I'm an expert in engineering, but I am not an engineer.
Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense. How could you be an expert at something, but that's not your thing? Like, they made it clear where, you know, she pretty much took her daughter's fucking story, wrote a book, made money. Yeah, okay, I can understand why Linda Blair's character is like, yo, fuck you. Like, dude, that shit was terrible, what happened to me. And you're fucking making money off of this, and you're an expert in exorcism. Like, no, you're not. And when she goes into the house, because besides the fact that when she goes and sees Angela and she's, you know, she writes Reagan on that wooden piece, which, by the way, that's only meant for us to see, because ain't no one other motherfucker saw that. It was just for us to see Reagan. And she remembers me. Who the fuck remembers you? They never said that's Pazuzu. They never made that clear. That's Pazuzu.
Right.
That's the thing too. In the religions, when it comes to an exorcism, if you have the demon's name, it gives you power over the demon. If she knew it was Pazuzu, like
his fucking name,
she's an expert.
You would have automatically had the upper hand.
She's an expert. She should have known that was Pazuzu. It's not fucking Pazuzu. I'm pretty sure they've actually confirmed, I think outside, that that's not Pazuzu.
But then also,
so why the fuck does she say she remembers me?
It remembers
like,
me. How? You weren't even there. You weren't
that was maybe
room?
some PTSD a little bit, that she's like, oh my fucking god, like, but no, but like also that, and then like the connection after they tear her eyes out, and it's just like, we are all connected in this family now. What the fuck? What kind of family? What are you doing? You weren't sense. You weren't even there. You're stupid.
It made no sense. It made absolutely no fucking sense. And then when she goes into to Catherine's room, okay, and she, oh, mother, like, and they actually took that out. That's she doesn't say it in the movie. They removed that part from the trailer, because she says it in the trailer. She goes, mother, which that doesn't even make any sense, because first off, demons. I don't remember demons being able to split and possess two people at the same time. They usually can possess one person. So if one of them was Pazuzu, okay, fine. But you have to establish that it's Pazuzu for some reason. They made it, nothing was established. It's 50 years later. Why would Pazuzu be going this route? There's a reason why, you know, when Reagan gets possessed, when she mentions like Uncle Howdy and all that stuff, like, you know, playing with the Ouija board, this was them just trying to, like, I want to see my mommy, like, I want to talk to my mom.
They were trying to conjure a spirit, and they conjured two of them.
They conjured should have been two of them, and we never.
Besides Evil Dead, getting possessed in the woods, like what did you do out in the woods?
But then
that
also,
ground
it was just
made
like, why out of all this time, right, does Pazuzu come in, and where were they that was significant to the first one that Pazuzu's even there? You get me? Like, think about it. If it was in the house, the same house, then maybe that makes sense.
Or if Linda Blair
it was the
involved.
ruins,
some lingering energy or something,
right? Or if it was like the ruins that just happened to be like the little in the forest over there somewhere, like, boom, then he's lingering in there, and they opened up the door. Like, you get me? But like out of nowhere, they're just like, oh, they realized that like everything with Pazuzu knew that everything was gonna happen the way it did, so he can grab the mother or Linda Blair. Like, come the fuck on.
But in the long run, it's not two
just talk real quick?
demons. It's not two demons, though.
No, it's only
because it's one. It's only one demon because it makes it clear that one will live and one will die.
Right.
It will take one of them.
It will take one of them. Which, and Sabrina, I'm going to let you go in 1 second because I will mention I didn't like when you watch any sort of an Exorcist type of movie. Okay, good usually wins. It thrives, and they find out why. They know the name of the demon. They're able to actually perform the exorcism. In the long run, the demon won, or demons, whoever, I don't know. It's not Pazuzu, but the demon won. Because these fools were given a choice and made a choice. Not, the mother or Victor, but the father. Like, you go to church. You believe in this
They
stuff.
essentially left this choice up to one person, and it was Victor, Leslie Odom.
Yeah.
The other family, like Catherine's mom, seemed like she was the only one that understood what was happening.
She went right to it.
Had faith
that quick
from the very beginning. Like everything seemed like that's where it was headed. So to have the non-believer used loosely, make the final choice, it's like, what? Why? Why does he get a say when he's the one that should be possessed next?
Yeah. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And then afterwards, like, it's just like, you're right. That's a perfect point because, like, they should be rounding everyone up. They should be doing all this and what have you. And he's the one that's just like, oh no, let's go down this rabbit hole. Let's contact this girl. Let's do this. Let's do this in my house. Like, you got me like, the fuck, man. Like, oh my God, this movie gets me so angry because the more we talk about it, the more gaping plot holes we get.
Oh, there's a huge plot hole that I want to ask you guys about. So this whole thing started because the girls want to contact the dead mother and I guess have some meaningful connection to her. But what does that say about the family? Does that mean that the dad never talks about the mom because then he doesn't want her touching her stuff? But then it doesn't allude to like, oh, he made his choice, like nothing. We do not understand the point of any of that until the very end of the movie. Nothing.
Yeah.
So for these characters to be doing all of this stuff, I have no context for why they're doing this stuff.
You're right.
Other than dead mom, want to talk to my dead mom.
Yeah. Just want to talk to my dead mom.
We don't understand how Catherine gets involved with her friend in the seance. We don't understand how Catherine's background has anything to do with it until after this happens and they go missing. There's nothing to allude why a seance was happening.
Yeah.
From the very beginning.
Because that's literally how it just begins, where it's like, okay, Dad, going to school, going to go do some studying afterwards. All right, cool. Be back by dinner. Where are they going? Even
how the whole movie starts like a disaster film. It's like you see the supposed background of like why he lost his faith, but it even leaves out so much of that it's hard to gauge where his character is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, right? Like, what was the point of wasting a whole 5 to 6 minutes establishing this tragedy when you're not going to use it to improve his character arc?
This movie did a whole lot of tell and not show.
Right. Like you can fast forward and then he wakes up in like a sweat and like he's just like he has fucking panic attacks and he has like all this other problems and he probably pops a couple pills like just to get by because of all this fucking things. That makes you a non-believer, right?
That
trauma, makes you like fuck. I haven't gotten over it, and it's 13 years later.
My man was in an earthquake. Watch this.
Right.
An earthquake that killed his wife.
Killed his wife. And when he made a choice, he chose, I guess technically it made kind of sense why he chose his wife. He's probably looking at it like, listen, she's still here. She's still fucking breathing. I want to save her, and I want to, obviously I have 2 children, but it's more of the sense of like this, we can make another one, like we can make another one. Yeah. Like I need her here. And then you obviously
going against his wife's wishes, essentially, when she says protect her.
That's right. But she did say that. And I hated that scene too, because the way they had to do that zoom in where it's just like protect her.
Yeah, I hated every flashback because I'm like, you could have showed me this in the beginning.
No trauma, though. He had no trauma.
Because then it would have been even more jarring to see the ending when you find out that he actually chose his wife over his kid. Show me all of that in the beginning where it's like she says protect her and he goes, and then smash cut and it's like, oh, the kid's alive. He did as he was told. Mm-hmm. Oh, nope. At the end, it's showing that he chose something else. I wouldn't have had any context for that. Mm-hmm. None of that made sense to me.
None of it. None of that shit made sense, right? It would have made sense if like, no, it wouldn't have. No, none of that made sense. Like, just give us more or give us less, right?
Right.
I also
you gave me
I
a
also
mashup of an unbelievable character.
right. I also needed a little bit more of both of them in that little seance bullshit. We didn't get any of it. Right?
No, we got them standing over a candle, waving a necklace over it.
Right.
And then boom, nothing.
Well,
and
we
then
saw it. We
out
saw
of
it a
You mean to
little
nowhere,
bit.
you mean to say that you got possessed by holding your mother's necklace over a candle and giggling?
Like you
in
said,
like a
well, you did
sewage
see.
area?
You
Yeah.
do see there is that one part that they do show, sort of what happened when her eyes go white
Right.
and like that.
Yeah.
Like something's happening, but
Something's happening, but why?
why
But
is it
it's an
happening?
Exorcist movie, and we need that because we want to get scared.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
what's
would have
scary.
scared us, seeing two kids getting possessed.
Yeah, but you don't really see it. Like you don't they don't see the demon
That's the
or
problem.
something. Like we don't get that story. They have the whole point of like where they say like when Jesus died, he was gone he came back in 3 days because he walked to hell. He went to hell,
yeah,
walked
like they
around.
found their shoes but no
And then
footprints.
talked-
Yeah,
Right.
and pretty much told the devil, like, motherfucker, I'm here right now, and if you fuck around, I'll kick your ass, like that kind of shit. But like,
Mhm.
Right.
they tried, it's like they tried to push in all of these little pieces, but the
It had
problem
weird
is it had
pacing.
nothing to do with the puzzle. You're just throwing shit in there, and we're asking for piece number 12, and you're like, no, that doesn't come in the box. But I do have 26, and you're like, well, I need 12.
It's still the ocean. Just put it in the ocean part of the fucking puzzle.
And I feel like with Victor, I think it would have been more interesting instead of the whole God played a trick on you. It would have been more interesting if maybe she would have changed her voice into the
To the
mother's
mother's?
voice to say,
Yes.
save her, or save me, which then the trauma begins to start because maybe his brain is now playing a factor is, wait a minute, did she say save me or did she say save her? And we as the audience don't really know because we never really truly got to see that scene. It's just what's
Right.
up here. So when he makes his choice, he may be going, maybe like Sabrina, like you said, maybe he was going on the wishes of his wife because that's what he thought. And that's what a demon does. It fucks with you. Another reason why Chris wasn't in the room, Chris McNeil, why she wasn't in the room is because a demon will go after you and will try
Demons
to
are
make
very
you feel.
Psychological, yes.
Yes, they will fuck with your head. The demon did that to Father Karras with the mother. Change the voice into the mom's voice. Oh, baby, don't do this to me. Like shit like that. And it fucked with him, made him start crying and shit. Where Father Marin was like, you got to get out of this fucking room right now. Okay, it's not working. You can't do this. So I also felt too when she was going after Victor like that, mentioning all that shit. The guy played a trick and blah 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 blah. You made a choice, so and so. Not one person was like, don't listen to it.
Yeah.
Don't listen to it, sir. This is what the demons do. Hey, the fucking Nurse Anne, aka Nun Anne. Why aren't you saying, hey, you might not want to listen to this? Keep in mind, they're going to say some shit that's going to
She's
fuck
not a
with
nun,
you.
so
Right, and she's not an exorcist. But they always warn people that are going to be there. Hey, I'm just going to give you a heads up. Do not listen to what they're going to say. They're going to try to fuck with you. It's going to fuck with you. They're going to fuck with you, whatever. So pay attention. Focus on prayer because it's always to focus on prayer. So Victor doing the scarf thing wouldn't work. That would never fucking work. So it's like she's fighting with mommy. No. It has nothing to do with anything. There's no blessing to it. It wasn't dipped in holy fucking water. The voodoo shit didn't work with that. I couldn't stand this exorcism.
I don't
Yeah,
know how
no, it
any
was
of that
stupid.
voodoo stuff worked because they never explained any of it
No, it just happened.
at all, ever. It just was like acknowledged that, his wife believed in it and
But also,
had the blessing. And supposedly that is what helped her
Doesn't make
later.
sense.
But
But-
it was
but
still never
also-
explained.
But also, that's another plot hole too, right? Because they in the beginning, you saw the mother in the whole like voodoo seance thing to protect. Oh, I had a great thing. Our baby's protected, right? And then like out of nowhere, they just never mentioned it again, right? They had that one part when they just got into her room and like they were doing some chanting or some like prayer stuff in the girl's room before she got found, and then boom, she got found. I was thinking that like when I saw that, I was thinking like maybe they got some shit involved in it and they kind of like cursed the baby from the womb.
Ah, very
I thought
good.
that too.
Very good.
In-
Yes.
in general, right? And then they were coming back and they wanted that like the daughter to be kind of like the second coming of fucking the devil's child or some
Like
shit.
some sort of cult.
Very
right,
good.
because
Where
they
it's like,
were the
oh,
ones that caused
offering
the
the
earthquake
unborn.
and then like this and this.
I like
That would have made more fucking sense. And then guess what? Maybe I would want to watch the second one.
Sure.
Right, but no, you didn't give me that. You just gave me spurts of voodoo in the beginning, not even, and then them being all weird and fucking shit in her room before she gets like captured, and then you get some stupid smoke shit that they throw in a fire to have the other have the
What is
smoke
that?
from the spirit get out of the house. And like, didn't make any sense. Didn't explain what it was. What was it? Sage? I don't know what it was.
It was just
I don't know
a
what
start.
it was because you didn't tell me what the fuck it was and how did it work. You started to tell me that everybody in the room, which was like 10 at this point, right, was just not looking at this whole thing as like, that was pretty fucking cool. What was that?
See, the thing I
that's some
got out of
orange
it
shit.
too,
Where'd you get that orange shit from?
Supposedly that blessing is supposed to be like a baptism per the Catholic Church, because remember when they say, oh, we wait until the child is old enough to determine themselves and then have them baptized, and it's like, okay, so it was determined that Catherine wasn't baptized because she wasn't old enough yet. But like, at what point do you explain any of that from the voodoo side? Like, at one point do you go like, oh, this is a blessing for your child, and then show like, if you had a side-by-side comparison of like that ritual happening and a baby being baptized, I can connect the two, but there was nothing there for me to understand what was happening, what that blessing was supposed to be, and why it's so important that a child is baptized. Nothing was explained.
No.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I also agree with you, Tommy, with the whole like, give me something of the mother like coming out of the daughter's mouth, like, you didn't save me or some other shit, or like you just let me die kind of thing, and just kind of like show the father's weakness and like,
now you're a believer, bitch.
Not believing.
Now you're a believer. Right. Yeah,
right.
You want to make that man believe, because even while seeing his daughter possessed and shit, it's still you're not a believer. But if all of a sudden your daughter is speaking like your fucking wife, just like what happened with Chris McNeil in the first one, the second Reagan's head, besides the fact that her fucking head turned around, besides the fact that her fucking head turned around, she began to use the voice of her friend, the director, that died with his head spinned around. And that's when it hit her. Holy shit. This is not looking too hot right now. Something's going down. So if you would have had Angela, or maybe Angela and Catherine, back and forth.
Like the split voice.
Like a split voice. So one says one sentence, the other one says the other, and everybody's like, what the fuck is going on right now? Or maybe when they do the heartbeats where they're matching at the same time and their heads touch together, they both start talking, but you just hear the mother's voice. That's when Victor can sit there and go, okay, I
would have loved to have both
now.
of them talking simultaneously with the mother's voice.
That would have been fucking great.
Two voices, one sentence.
Echoing, right, with the mother's voice. And it's all about Victor. It's not about the other family, because this movie made it very clear nobody gives a shit about the other family.
Nobody gives a shit.
Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, not even a little.
Like, not even a little bit. We just made the dad a fucking asshole, and the mother...
Catherine was just a pawn in all of this.
Yes, she was just a pawn, and the mother was the first one to be like, I think they need an exorcism. Like... What? that was fast. Like that, she got to that point very quickly, and then
she was the only one that seemed to know what was going on and decided to make the move.
Yeah, and then they took her out of the hospital too. Or we'll just take her home.
Just take her home. It's fine. Let her sleep it off.
Yeah, she'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Exorcisms go away after 3 days, right? It's like
yeah, I think so.
Like
and all that medical equipment, yeah, the nurse just has it in her backyard.
Well, yeah, why not?
Yeah. Everything was
failed as a nun,
ready to go.
now a nurse, gung-ho. Take your work home with you.
Yeah, next thing she has a vial of Jesus's blood.
I did think it was really funny when Catherine walks in the church and is just spewing body in the blood.
The body in the blood.
Honestly, that was probably the best part of the movie. That and the eye gouge. Like the eye gouge.
Well,
I will ask, is there anything that you guys actually liked from this movie? Whether it's a still shot that looked creepy or
one scene,
a line. Please tell me.
Oh, all right. Let me say two then, because the line that I did like was when Victor knocks on the door. Hey, fights inside. Like, I like that. Badass line. Shows that he cares. Show that he's looking at the priest being like, dude, you're a fucking wimp. Let's go. Get your ass up.
Pussy.
I don't care what the fucking church says. Let's get in there and fucking do shit. But let's be real. He then killed that man because he set him up for
essentially.
death. He set him up for death. But I will say
fights inside, you're going to lose.
Fights inside. But hey, listen, someone's got to die. It should probably be you. You're a bitch anyway. But one scene that I actually really did like was when Angela was laying down and Victor was talking to her, and you kind of got like that Insidious jump scare, but it wasn't like "Bah-brown," but you see the demon like behind her. Like, I thought that was good. That's good scary right there, because that's no music, no sound. It's like, wait, and you can miss it because you're looking at Victor. But then if you kind of get it, what was that? What the fuck was that? And then you rewind it and you're going, oh, nice. So I would say that was my favorite scene. If they would have kept the whole, I don't want to go to hell, that would have been fucking pretty great, because how did you take that out? That's a great line. That's a fantastic line, because she goes to hell.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. I thought those two scenes were great. But I'm not so much scenes in this movie that I liked. Even though the church scene with the body and the blood stuff was kind of wild. I mean, just think about it visually wise. If you're in church and then a kid like that just came back, it just starts going wilding out like that, and it's covered in blood, you're like, some scary shit, right? But
the silhouette in the doorway.
Yeah. Yeah. Money, right? But give me more of that then, right? But give me more, right? I think the shining light in this movie was the girls, right? Their makeup was on point. So cheers to the makeup crew, right? That made them look terrifying, because they did. They really looked scary. They looked possessed. And I just wanted more of them, right? I wanted more of the girls speaking, more of the girls doing crazy shit, just trying to test everyone's faith in the circle. Like, I think every single one I think there was like 5 people there, right? I think each one of those 5 people should have gotten their chance to get manipulated by both of them. There was 2 girls, 5 of them, and the parents are closest, like the 2 parents are closest to the white girl, and their pastor, so then she can manipulate them, right? And then the voodoo girl gets fucking manipulated by the other girl, and her father as well manipulates that too. Like, give us more of the demon trying to fuck with everyone, that's in that exorcism, because it wasn't a strong exorcism. And the thing that I'm like, fuck you movie about too, it's like there's 2 of them that's possessed, not 1, and it seemed a lot easier to get them exorcised here than it did for Linda Blair in the beginning.
Well, that's because
right?
it was a choice.
One person,
but it was a choice. That's the demon made that.
Yeah, it was a choice. Yeah. So they didn't even win.
The demon was calling the shots.
Right. The demon was calling shots the whole entire time,
because they lost. Catherine died in the long run. But remember, the next one is called Deceiver. So what do you think they're going to do? You know what's going to happen, right? Linda Blair's going to. We already established Linda Blair does come back at the end. Spoilers. Yep. And sure enough,
2-second cameo.
Yeah, her little cameo over there. And what is she going to do? She's going to be like, we have to go get her. Well, how do you?
Yeah, and then you have an Insidious thing on your hand, and we don't need that anymore.
We don't need to get possessed again, and she calls.
We don't need
Pazuzu.
it from an Exorcist movie.
No,
we have that.
Insidious already got it covered in 5 movies. We're good.
Yeah, we don't need to be going to no Vortex or whatever, the Verge.
Yeah, we don't need to go into the further. We don't need to go the upside down. We don't need to go to the hell. We don't need any of that shit.
I think we're going to hell in the next one.
Already.
I think we're going to hell in the next one.
I hope we don't.
Fucking tastic.
I think we are, because I think that.
Yeah, we're going to hell because we're going to be watching it.
We're going to be watching.
Oh, I'm going to hell anyway for all the shit I'm going to spew on it.
Oh, we're all in trouble with that one. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to say about this movie? Anything they want to touch on?
Yeah. Actually, I think what they took from the movie, the still shots, were probably the best thing I've ever seen. The fact that they have even just the trailer of the girls with their heads back leaning against each other, that is a great still shot. The still shot of Catherine's silhouette in the church, the still shot of in the hospital when Angela is under the bed, kind of staring up at everybody through the window and hissing at them. And I'm like, that's fucking creepy. That's great. Why couldn't that be the whole movie?
Yeah, again, I mentioned it just now too, and I guess we're all on the same boat. Give us more of the girls. The girls are the scariest part of it. They're on the cover. They're the ones possessed. Give us more, right?
I don't want the perspective of the dad that doesn't believe,
right,
or maybe does believe and has wavering faith. I don't fucking know anymore. I want to see the possessed girls. I want to see their perspective. I want to see them hurting. I want to believe that this possession is truly awful for them, not just the parents watching their kids go through it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I needed them to I needed them to kill some more people. I gotta be honest with you. Kill some more people or fuck with more people, like or gouge more people's eyes out. I need
kill
more
of
of
Father
that.
Maddox.
Right?
How do you feel about it?
2. How many people died in this movie? 3?
2.
Count the wife. Count the wife.
Oh, okay. So
3.
her,
3,
the father,
and Catherine. She went to hell.
And Catherine. Yeah.
Catherine went to hell
3.
because Chris McNeil's still alive. She just doesn't have any eyes.
Mm-hmm. She just doesn't have eyes, and
Cyclops.
her daughter came back.
And her daughter came back. I do like the part though when she comes in and she goes, Victor, and she like just jumps up and she's like, oh my god, and then it's like, no, Mom, Regan.
It's a sweet, touching moment that had no business being in this movie.
No, it had no reason to be in this fucking movie.
Again, I just feel like it was such a waste of potential, right? They got the rights to The Exorcist. They could have done so much more with the legacy characters, and with these 2 girls that did an amazing job. Let's just and this what sucks about it, right? Because they were fantastic, right?
Props to child actors because they at least were convincing when they were in makeup and on screen.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I feel like, and we always say it, right? Because we're talking horror all the time. Children is scary. You give me children in a scary movie, whether they're screaming, they're scared, or they're the ones fucking possessed. You know, they're scary as hell. You know
100%.
what I mean? And that's what made the first Exorcist so great, because she was indeed scary, right? And they gave us a lot of her, right? What they needed to do here was the same thing, and they did not. And it hurt them immensely, right? Because you have these great actresses, young actresses that are all all in makeup. They're probably gonna get fucking tormented every time they see themselves on a screen now, you know what I mean? Just like Linda Blair did, right? And for what? For this debacle of a movie that we got? There's so much more subtext. There's so much more stuff that you could be original for, and kind of you're taking the name of a movie that has so much lore that kind of created a genre, and you just kind of gave us the wackest, weakest Exorcist movie we've seen in the last 20 years.
I do want to know, because you know how at the end when Catherine's dead and the parents call the police or get an ambulance here, her heart stopped. I want to see the perspective of the police going in, because you've got a dead priest on the floor. No explanation that an exorcism happens. No proof, no documentation that an exorcism happened. You've got 3 adults in a room, a dead kid, and a dead priest.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to jail.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. I think the last thing I said in that, and with the movie when I was watching, I was just like, so who's going to jail?
Right. Yeah.
Who's going to jail?
Because there's 2 dead bodies and there's kids strapped to a chair. I mean.
It looks like just a massive case of child abuse and
a
murder.
Cult, like a big cult.
Or it looks like a cult that they're just
fucking
killing kids or something, or God forbid, I don't want to say it, but doing other ungodly things to them. You know what I mean? And it's kind of fucked up, right? But then you lean into that because it's the realism, right? It's realism for the movie, for all this other bullshit. Again, it's dangerous. The church doesn't want to get involved when they were asking for permission. Now bring that back. And that's how you do a nice little arc, right? That's how you do a nice little fucking cliffhanger. What they all are taken out of the house in handcuffs.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
And the child and the child is getting put into the ambulance, and she's probably gonna go into a fucking foster care or something right now until they figure out what happened.
And then she can get possessed in the foster care system. Boom. And it's a whole other thing.
And then the demon could just possess all the other kids. You got me?
Since it can
now
do
we
2.
have another movie.
It's so strong it can do 12. Because that was actually going to be my final question before we wrap it up here. Is in your opinion, where do you see this going? What will Deceiver focus on? I made it clear I think we're going to hell. So what about you guys? What do you think we're going when it comes to Deceiver? I will say before, I like what you said, Mr. Malave, because I think for Deceiver, if it was like a Exorcism of Emily Rose where it was focused on a trial, I mean, it still will bring you back to the first one. We've already seen it, so we don't need to see it twice, but it would make sense if they took that route and go, well, we're going to go to the fucking system now, and you have to explain what happened. But
yeah,
we don't need a repeat. We don't need a double movie. So, in that case, they could have started the movie that way.
But we can use it. And there's ways that can work, because then they'll show us parts of the exorcism that we didn't see. So they can clean up some of the plot holes in the first one by flashbacks in the second one, right? They can show a part where maybe someone goes to the bathroom or something and they see some other shit, right? Or like, leading into like the choice, the father like came to some whatever. I don't know what it could be, but they can fix plot holes if they do go back. We don't necessarily have to see the stuff that we've seen already, but like they can go back to the Exorcist or days leading into the Exorcist on other shit that they've uncovered from other characters' perspectives. That way you can open up the whole voodoo chicks fucking plot holes. You can do this, that. Like it could work. And that was just a take that like I just came to fruition right now. Like, as we were exercising this debacle of a demon movie. You know what I mean? But just to answer your question real quick until everyone else goes, like I feel the second movie is gonna hone into them getting back the other daughter from hell, or
we're going
death,
to hell.
or I think it's more of a resurrection movie. I think the fact that they mentioned, I swear to God, the fact that they mentioned, well, Jesus died and 3 days he came back, I feel like they're gonna hone into that again, right? And they might fucking have Linda Blair again. I agree with you. Linda Blair is the catalyst. She's going to be the main person to get her out. And then that's when they're going to make the connection from her demon to them. Maybe we get her back. Maybe Linda Blair dies in the second one and it's like a soul for a soul. And then they bring back the daughter. You know what I mean? But maybe we're going to hell, or maybe we're just doing the whole resurrection shit and have somebody get into a coma for 3 days. Bullshit. But yeah, I think that's what it is. You know what I mean? The deceiver is the person who's deceiving themselves being dead, and then finally someone dies and someone comes back.
Okay,
it's stupid.
It is,
but I think that's what it is.
But that sounds good. Sabrina, what do you got? What is your thoughts?
What I want it to be is probably not what it's going to be. So what I want it to be is they picked the wrong daughter. She's still possessed. She deceived everyone by thinking that she's still normal. Because you see her at the end going back to the same ass school, acting like nothing fucking happened, that her friend's not dead. I feel like she's the deceiver. She's going to go in saying like, everything's fine, normal, but she's still fucking possessed. It never left. It just went dormant. But what I think is going to happen is that it's going to be a Linda Blair show, and it's going to be a soul for a soul. Maybe not necessarily going to hell, but a fight for Catherine's soul for something. I don't want
Didn't
it to
they
be
bury
that.
the body though?
I feel like they didn't
show
they didn't show what happened to the body, but I feel like they, dug themselves a metaphorical grave just by calling the ambulance for her.
Right.
Because then it's going to be like, oh, we might open with a funeral on the next one.
Sure.
But then it could be like, oh, voodoo shit happened. You could resurrect a body. But again, I don't fucking know.
No.
The twist they had with this movie, none of it really made sense with the plot holes. So they could take it literally anywhere and try to justify it. And I just have to sit through it.
I think I like your take better about, the daughter still possessed, right? Because that's the easiest way you could do. And the deceiver, it makes sense, right? She deceived everybody. Well, the demon deceived everybody by saying it will be over, but in all actuality,
by saying he'd pick one and then it would be gone. But
the demon got a soul and he's still possessed. Like they're still possessed, and that's when we can get the daughter fucking killing people. That'll be cool.
Like the whole premise of the demon is to kill as many people and take as many souls as possible. The fact that it says, oh, I'm only going to pick one and then it'll all be over.
Yeah.
No, I feel like his agenda is to take both of those fuckers with him.
And then here we go, right? Then they do another exorcism with just the daughter, and Linda Blair is the main person in there. And then at the end of the second movie, the demon leaves the daughter and goes into Linda Blair.
See, that would be a perfect full circle. Yes.
One more with
And
Pazuzu.
then the third one is Linda Blair possessed again.
One more with Pazuzu. That's how we have to. That's how it should
Yes.
end. One more with Pazuzu.
A second round with Pazuzu.
Yes, very nice, very nice.
That's the perfect way to end.
Second
right
round with Pazuzu. So, okay, very good. I like the way everyone's going. We all are kind of pretty much on our a same page. We think that it's going to play a factor with Catherine, and we're going to try to bring her back. Either we're going to hell, we're going to use some voodoo, Linda Blair's going to show up, and they're going to be like, ooh, Pazuzu's actually like, yes, I wanted your body, hence why I wrote your name on wood for nobody to see except us, the viewers. So, all right, let's try this real quick. Would you say this movie is a must-see? We'll start with you, Miss Malave. Must-see, yes or no?
Nah, you can skip it, man. The same way I skipped it in the movie theater and I saw it on my sources.
Mm-hmm.
It's on streaming networks now. I mean, if you really are interested and you want to see it, but for all means, if you're gonna see it, just take in the fact that these girls deserve better. They did an amazing job. So if you're gonna see it, just watch it for the makeup, and that's pretty much it. But I say do not see it. It's not a must see. If you want a good Exorcist movie, watch the original. If you want something newer, I even say watch the Conjuring. Watch The Conjuring. All right. And if you want to watch a newer, scarier movie, see Insidious 5. It's way better.
All right. Ace, yes or no?
Matt put it best. It was very well said. Absolutely fucking not. You can skip this movie. It won't matter on your radar. If you want a good possession movie, again, if you're craving The Exorcist, go watch The Exorcist. You'll have a way better time. The plot is so solid. You don't need to watch this movie. And if you do want makeup, you don't even have to watch this movie. You could look at the still images. You could admire all the SFX makeup through small clips and pictures. You don't even need to watch the movie for it. Just save your time.
Yes, and I have to agree as well. I say this is a must. This is pass. There's no reason for this movie. This movie should have never fucking happened. There's no reason why we're getting two more. And I have to agree with Sabrina, because she said, like, with the still images, the makeup and whatnot. Don't be surprised if this movie is nominated for an Academy Award for the makeup. It's very, very possible.
It's the only Academy Award I would give it. And
it might win, because if I'm not mistaken, I think it won the first time. So, I know it was nominated for a lot, so you never know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree. I think this movie is a must pass. So that's it, everybody. We are done. Class is about to end. So I just want to let everybody that's currently listening to know, hey, if you guys like what you heard, there's more to come. Please enroll with us by liking, subscribing, and following all social media platforms, and of course, anywhere you can listen to podcasts. We are Night School Horror, and we loves a talking about the horror. Anybody else got one more thing to say before that bell sounds?
$30 million. Jesus Christ.
That's a good point. $30 million for Chris McNeil.
An hour and a half for them to get to an actual exorcism out of an hour and 59-minute movie.
Fuck you, movie. That's all I'm going to say.
Fuck you, movie. I'm saying it. Fuck you, movie.
You know what? Fuck you, movie.